Hello. Oh, you good boy.
Hello darlings, I'm going to go on my Kobo and scroll to the oldest book to pick my first book for this reading vlog. And the book that I'm going to be reading, Reincarnation Blues by Michael Poore. I don't recall this at all. Okay, let's have a look. 3.86 rating. It is 374 pages. The genre is fantasy, sci-fi, humor, romance. Okay. A magically inspiring tale of a man who is reincarnated through many lifetimes so that he can be with his one true love, Death herself. Well, what if you could live forever, but without your one true love? This is a story of a man... Oh, there we go, it's my ex again, one sec. I'm back. He just wanted to see if he could fix the ducted heating, even though I've got someone coming tomorrow. Anyway, what was I saying? This is a story of a man who has been reincarnated nearly 10,000 times in search of the secret to immortality so that he can be with his beloved, the incarnation of death, transporting us from ancient India to outer space to Renaissance Italy to present day. It's a journey through time, space, and the human heart. This could actually be really good. Look, I do love death personified. That's one of my favorite things. I am a sucker for a good romance, as long as it's a good one. And yeah, this could be a good time. This could be a good time. So I'm happy with that selection. I will be trying that out. And now I will do my tarot card pick. So less cards left because I only do 10 prompts per deck. So we got this one. She's a fine bitch, but this is the Tower. And my prompt for the Tower, that's Monica Bellucci's Persephone in The Matrix, is... One second, I've just written my prompts. I've redone them. So where's my prompt? Tarot Tibia. The Tower. Scavenger hunt. Oh, sick, man. Okay, I have to go to my bedroom. We're doing a scavenger hunt. That's so cool. This will take me a little bit, so I have no idea what book I'll end up with. Come with me. Come with me and you'll see a world of pure imagination. And we're going to my bedroom, where it's fucking messy as shit. All right, let me try and put you somewhere where you are not seeing everything in here. Hello. Okay, so the first prompt, that's better. Okay, guys, the first prompt is grab a favorite book, go to the acknowledgements, and the first name you see, find a book by an author with the same name. All right, we're just going to grab the first book I saw on my 5-star shelf, and it is Vivian, a novel by Emily Russo. So we're going to the acknowledgements section, and the first name I see. Acknowledgements. Thank you to my husband, Michael Newton. All right, we're looking for a Michael or a Newton. So let's, oh, sorry little figurine. Let's see what we've got on Goodreads.
Didn't work.
Didn't work?
All right.
Okay, so first up, I'm looking up Michael. Oh, okay, I've got an option already. We've got Hieroglyphs of Blood and Bone by Michael Griffin. Is that the only one I have not read? Hey, Silbs. Okay, we have one option. Let me see what this is about. Okay, this has got a 4.29. It says... It's a weird fiction book. Okay. When Guy's marriage of 2 decades unravels, he's driven from his previously stable domestic life and ends up renting a room in the houseboat of a much younger co-worker, Carl. Pushed outside his comfort zone, Guy tries to follow Carl's example until he ends up exploring entirely new frontiers, both natural and uncanny. He finally encounters the enigmatic Lily, who offers to share with Guy her own arcane language, a mix of incomprehensible symbols, rough bits of nature, and dark pleasures of the flesh. Guy finds himself obsessed as if powerless under Lily's spell. Will he recognize in time the many secrets she keeps hidden in plain sight? Or will he allow himself to be pulled downstream toward an inescapable vortex? I just want to see what the genre says it is. Weird fiction horror. Okay, interesting. I'm down. I'm down to clown with it. So that is my tarot. No, oh, wait a second. It's a scavenger hunt, guys. I'm not reading that. What's the next prompt? Oh, I forgot I was doing a scavenger hunt. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I found that book. Pick something on that cover and find another book with a thing in the title. Okay, forgot. Please excuse me. I was actually looking forward to that. That's okay. Maybe I will put it on anyway. Okay, what's on the cover? We've got a chick's face, a finger, some stars. I am so close to the screen. A chick's face, finger, and stars. Let me just get my glasses so I don't have to go so close. Okay, I'm going to look up finger, face. Let's do face first. Face. Find a book on my shelves, please, with the word face. Oh, is that coming out yet? The Girl with 1,000 Faces by Sunyi Dean. So hopefully, oh, wait a second. This is a scavenger hunt. Oh my God. Chanel, you're not done yet. Okay, the book we have found is The Girl with 1,000 Faces. Sweet. All right, let's look up the next prompt. This is the first time I've done this prompt thing. Okay, so I'm going to give myself some grace. Find a 5-star read with the same colors on the cover. Okay, let's have a look. So the colors are gold and black. Let's look up in my black section. Gold and black. Oh, Small Miracles. Is this cover? No, that's got red and white on there. All right, what about The Witch Would Not? Oh, we've got a winner. Gold and black, The Witch Would Not. All right, let's look at the next prompt. I will set this up properly next time. I know this is chaotic. All right, find a book with the same number of pages, or if that's not possible, flip to a random page, point to a sentence, find a book with that word in the title. Okay, so I love this edition. Let's go to the end, see how many pages this is numerically. 349 pages. I'll keep it out just in case I need it. Want to read. I've got to sort it based on page number 349, right? Number of pages. Let's go high to low, I reckon. Okay, we've got 400, 352. Damn. Okay, we're going to the next thing. What was the next thing? I didn't have the exact number. Flip to a random page, point at a sentence and find that word. Okay, let's see how we go. Flip to a random page, find that sentence. Okay, with the sentence is able to sleep. Instead, she descended below stairs to the kitchen. Okay, we've got sleep. We'll try, let's just fucking go. All right, let's just pick a word and go, and hopefully we've got something. All right, sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Little hair behind the ear. Want to read. Okay, I do have The Dreamless, which is the second in the Sleepless duology, but when's that coming out? 7th of May. Okay. I might be purchasing that because I do have, where is my edition of that? Here it is. Look, hey, oh my God. I do have the first one right here, The Sleepless. So I might actually just see if there's a special edition of that second one and get that. I'm just going to just see what else there is. I can put this book back now. But that is a sweet one, The Dreamless. Okay, because it's part of the Sleepless duology. We've also got The Sleeping Sisters by Jennifer. Oh, no, that's in August, babes. Too far. No, I think I'm going to go with that sequel because it says 7th of May. Hopefully that's in Australia. If it's not, you'll see me back again. But fingers crossed. So those are 2 books that I will be reading in this reading vlog. Yes, I have changed. I needed something warmer. Unfortunately, in Australia, it doesn't come out until the 12th, and then obviously you have to order it and it has to come in, and that's just too far away. I would have finished this vlog by then. So we're going to a different page. I did look up all the other words, even ones like able and instead, and I got nothing. So we're going to a new one. Okay. She never seen one before, laying out several cards before her. Surely. Before? Listen, I'm just going to read one more sentence just in case. Okay, so I don't have to come back here. Another sentence. Choice. But I am what you have. So please, tell me everything. So let's see what we can find with either of those sentences and words. Okay, we managed to get one, folks. And by one, I literally mean the word one. So out of all those words in that sentence, one was the best one. And the book is, look, it's got an S on the end, but we're just going to forgive that, okay? This is called The Ones Who Look by Katharine Duckett. This is an itty-bitty book. It says, ethical empire built the gate to heaven, and their employees hold the keys. By offering custom-built afterlives through full brain uploads, they answer the needs of a society pushed to the brink by climate change and cascading antibiotic failure. But for Zoe, who works daily to assess the sins of users and decide who's worthy of salvation, heaven is not so simple. Despite the urging of the angels on her shoulder, she is determined to uncover heaven's secrets, no matter the cost. Look, guys, I think too I will read that other one that I originally got before I realized that I'm doing a scavenger hunt. So those are 3 books that I will be reading, hopefully in full, in this vlog. And I'm going to go to the library today, I think, too, to pick up some fresh books.
She wanted to get inside the bed. You wanted to come inside the bed. Yes, you did. R.I.P. my arm keeping this up for her, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Good morning, guys. Hopefully that dishwasher isn't too loud, but I'm going to come on here quickly to give you some updates. So I was reading, I'm actually going to close up because I'll be pissed at myself in editing if I can hear it really loudly. Okay, where was I? Oh yes, Reincarnation Blues by Michael Poore. I did pick this up. So this was the one about a guy who lives multiple lives. So supposedly you have 10,000 tries to get it right, to become an advanced soul and be able to move to paradise, to be able to achieve wisdom and enlightenment and become one with everything. If you don't get it right in the 10,000 tries, you, instead of being able to join the cosmic soup, the cosmic soul, your soul gets cast into oblivion. And our main character, Milo, has had 9,995 lives thus far, and he ain't got it right yet, because pretty much all he wants to do is just be with his beau Death. So every time a soul dies, they're ushered into the afterlife by Death before their soul is reincarnated, and his Death that he's in love with, she calls herself Susie. I really didn't like this book. I liked the idea of it. I did not like the writing style. I did not like Milo as a character. I just didn't like the way it was done. The first chapter, we see Milo in one of his lives. He's just a fisherman who is a bit of a dude bro in that he takes men out to go fish, but he gets deep and personal and offers them sage advice. He's a bit of a guru, an island guru, but supposedly that wasn't good enough to rack him up some soul points. He took life too easy, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what now? He didn't do any harm, and instead he helped people, but okay. And he gets eaten by a shark. That's how he meets his end. And then we see him with Susie. It's a pre-established relationship, did not care one iota for their relationship, felt nothing between them. And then, yeah, we just go back, spend some time in his other lives on his quest to achieve enlightenment and gain an all-access pass to, the soul pool. There was one of his lives, for instance, he was accused of rape by a white woman, and then he was thrown in prison where he was repeatedly raped and tortured, and then it turns out that the woman that accused him is crazy and she's mentally ill and it was a false allegation. I don't know what the author was trying to do, man. Like, I was just like, this is just yuck, and I don't give a shit, and I'm not enjoying myself. So that book ended up just being really not for me, unfortunately. I gave it a solid go, but we didn't vibe. And then, I did try that other book. I'll put it up here as well. This also just wasn't for me. The writing style and I just were not on the same page. We were not connecting. I was not enjoying myself. So then I did go on to my next choice, which was The Ones Who Look by Katharine Duckett. I did end up giving this a 3.75. So this one, okay, let's just talk about this. This was interesting too, interesting premise. You have a mega corporation in this world who sells access to a digital afterlife, an online afterlife. This was absolutely giving upload, defending your life, and the good place. It is a mix of all 3 of those. So if you are rich and worthy, because not only do you need money to be able to live on as a digital avatar in digital heaven, you have to also be a good person. So you get this chip implanted and it watches everything you do and records everything you do. And not only that, they've given human beings a sort of angel and devil on the shoulder. When they're about to make a choice, you know, the angel will be like, you're going to lose points, you're not going to get into heaven. And then the devil will give an option too, because they learned that human beings still need the free will, if you will. And if you just give them an angel on the shoulder, they won't listen to it. They need to weigh up their options. But everything is monitored, and it determines whether or not you're a good enough person to be allowed a spot in online paradise. And so we follow a main character named Zoe, and she's like an arbitrator. So she reviews people's footage when they're contesting that they shouldn't have been docked points for this specific thing. For instance, there's a man who's in love with his best friend's wife, but the best friend's wife is very unhappy with her marriage to his best friend, and they're much better suited. So he's like, am I really doing a bad thing by, you know, being in love with her when she is unhappy with him and would be better off with me, yada yada. So she's got to determine, do they get docked, or is it okay, or should they go on probation, all that sort of thing. She's a judge. She's judging people. She's judging their sins. And then she meets someone else from work. He's an engineer, and she starts to learn more about this company's online heaven. The company is called Ethical Empire, and this story looks at corporate control over the afterlife. If heaven isn't divine, it's not about an omniscient, all-powerful being, creator, judging you, and it's actually just a fucking subscription service company. It raises the question that if the company owns eternity, they get to decide morality, essentially. They get to choose who they consider to be worthy customers. But how can you quantify somebody's worth as another human being? These aren't, like I said, these aren't superior beings. They're just other humans with their own biases. And it also, how ethical is a corporation that runs on profit? At the end of the day, you just end up becoming their data, and you don't have control over how they use you as data. So some of the reveals are sort of to do with that. What are the companies doing with you, really? And Zoe's got to think about whether she wants to be complicit in it anymore. All right, my kid's awake. This ends up finishing on what I call a cliffhanger. This was a cliffhanger to me. Some people say, oh, it's ambiguous. I was like, oh my God, are you going to leave me hanging here? Like, I really wanted to know what was happening. It was a bit of a Schrodinger's cat situation. I'm like, is the cat dead or alive? You know, without giving anything away. And that was very frustrating to me. Like I said, I love the ideas that were being panned out. The idea of virtual heaven is not appealing to me whatsoever. Like, I've seen all the other shows, like Uploaded, for instance, which really encompasses, if it's being run by a company, surely there are pay tiers. And if you really want like the premium experience, you have to pay more. But at the end of the day, they own you and they can put you wherever they want. And that to me is awful. Awful. The idea, I would rather the chance of death being oblivion, of ceasing to exist. That's a better option to me than being put in someone's curated digital online paradise where it's not certain what will happen, because eternity is a really long time. What happens if the servers go down? What happens if the company gets bought out by somebody else? You don't know what's going to happen, and you want to give your eternal existence to a human-run company just so that you know that you won't die when you die. But also, I don't think, I don't know. For me, I think I like the possibility that there is life after death. It would be wonderful if we all have some kind of heaven, like in What Dreams May Come, and there's a communal heaven and there's individual heavens. How wonderful. And maybe reincarnation exists, or maybe we just change forms and there's no sort of in-between pause. We just go from one to one. The energy just continues to get transmuted. Obviously, I'm a bit of a psychonaut, so I've done a lot of trips, and in one of them I did meet God or the creator of the universe, whatever, and it was just a timeless collective consciousness where you feel one with everything and you're beyond space and time, and it's just this feeling of warmth and love and happiness, and you are no longer an individual you, and yet that doesn't matter. I don't know, like that's probably what I think it is. In honesty, I think we go back to source, wherever it is that our energy came from, we return to the source of it, and we just, yeah, less individualized. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Digital online heaven run by corporations, zero interest in that whatsoever. And if, like I said, if you watched Upload, you'll know what I mean. It's like, oh, no, thank you. And being judged too by other humans on what they think is good or bad behavior. Who are you to cast stones, my bro? Who are you to cast stones? But yeah, this was really interesting. I gave it 3.75. I was just a bit pissed because of the ending. I wanted to know what was going on. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Would you choose an uploadable heaven? So when you die, your consciousness gets uploaded to this digital space. Or would you prefer to roll the dice with whatever happens in the natural biological way of things too? Because I also wondered too how humans would cope still having their human consciousness without a body. Because I believe when you die, you're no longer like limited by the human brain, the human meat, so to speak. I believe that your consciousness is completely then unrestricted and unrestrained and free, and a higher level of consciousness. That's what I feel like happens once you leave this meat suit. Your soul is unlimited, but I feel like if your human consciousness is uploaded, you would stay within the limits of a human way of thinking and being. And can humans be without a physical form? Because I think you'll probably go insane, to be honest. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. But for me, no, I'll take my chances with whatever exists after this expires. So that was interesting. I haven't gone to the library yet. Hopefully I will today. It's a bit yuck, the weather, and I've got the heater repairman coming, so I'm not sure how long he'll take to do the repairs, but hopefully I can zip out after he's done, and fingers crossed that my heating will be fixed today. I would love to be warm again, and yeah, I'll see if I can grab some books, but otherwise I've got Happy Endings by Bella Green. So this is a memoir. With memoirs, I tend to either read memoirs that are about death or sex. Those are my preferred subjects with memoirs, and this is the latter. So this is about an Australian sex worker / comedian. So I thought, okay, let's see, let's have a read. So I'm reading that. Okay, I'm back with a library haul. So I got Go Gentle by Maria Semple. I much prefer the other cover over this. I would not have picked this up if I hadn't already seen this other cover. It says, this is about a contented divorcee who relishes her teenage daughter, her job as a moral tutor for an old money family, and the bliss of finally being solo. But a chance encounter with a charming stranger could threaten her joyfully curated life and leave Adora suddenly wanting more, even if she must risk everything to get it. Not sure if I'll love it. Like I said, the previous cover is the one that made me interested. Hey, Sylvie. Then we've got Angel Down by Daniel Kraus. So this just won I'll put this up here. This just won the Pulitzer Prize for Best Fiction. It's going down. For Best Fiction. This is it's a war book. So you've got a private who survived the unspeakable horrors of the Great War. Through his wits and deception, swindling fellow soldiers at every opportunity, but he's put to the test when he and 4 other grunts are given a deadly mission. Venture into the perilous no man's land to euthanize a wounded comrade. World War I. So I normally hate books about real world wars in our world, but it won the Pulitzer Prize, so I have to try it to see. Then I've got Something from Nothing by Alison Roman. So this is a cookbook. I do like to freshen up our meals, our repertoire. Oh, I'm not sure I love the way this has been formatted, but have a look. Then I've got The Disappearing Act by Maria Stepanova, translated by Sasha Dugdale. The writer known as M is living in exile while her home country wages war on a neighbouring state. Racked by shame and severed from her language, M finds herself unable to write. And then she travels to a nearby country for an event. A twist of fate leaves her stranded. We'll have a look, see what that's like. And this one is probably the one I'm most excited for. Record of a Night Too Brief by Hiromi Kawakami. There's 3 stories about women who experience loss, loneliness, and extraordinary romance. It's got mushrooms on the cover though, so hopefully that's telling. Besides that, I also got in Cruelty Free on ebook, so I will also be reading that. No, not for you, Bluebell. No, Bluebell, please, no. Mummy's food. Mummy's food! God damn it!
Hello, beautiful girl. She's got her fishy next to her. It's so cute.
Morning, guys. It was deliciously dark and stormy this morning, and I could appreciate it because I was warm and dry. But now the thunderclouds have gone and the sun is shining, so it's going to be a strange weather day today. I do have an update for you though. So I read Happy Endings by Bella Green. So this is a very brutally honest sneak peek behind the curtain of sex work. There's a lot of awkward client interactions and clients themselves, and some strict hierarchies, and the grind, both literal and figurative, of making rent. So this was, I guess, a lot about reality versus fantasy. I think when some people think of sex work, they think maybe like taboo or maybe exciting, but at the end of the day, babes, a job is a job is a job is a job. It still involves, you know, routine and rules and showing up to work and its ups and downs that come with it. So the author was very transparent and honest about the rigmarole and the sort of minutiae of sex work. So she first started with stripping, and then that turned into being a dominatrix, and then working at a brothel, and then freelancing sex work. So is that escorting, call girl? And then also her actual jobs in between, when she would get burnt out on sex work and try a regular 9-to-5 job and then get burnt out on that and go back to sex work. Because yeah, at its core, sex work is still labor. And you've got to make your own decision at the end of the day to choose your bad. Do you want to work at a call center? Do you want to work in bed? You do you, boo. What works best for you? With sex work though, there is a lot about identity and performance. I was very interested to know that Chanel is a very common pseudonym sex worker name. Didn't know that. But yeah, with a lot of sex workers, fake names are often par for the course, same as roles or their persona that they adopt. So who you are and who you are performing becomes very like sort of blurred, especially in a career that is so intimate by its nature. Yeah, there are always pitfalls, there are always perks. Some find it empowering, some find it degrading. It just depends on who you are and what you take from it. The author herself, who is a comedian, seemed to use humor as probably her main coping mechanism, along with a shitload of drugs. Okay, so many drugs are used. It was pretty much what you would hope to read about in terms of a realistic look at being a sex worker. And because she was all these different kinds of sex worker, you got to see all the flavors, all the variety of what it's like and what it entails and who your co-workers are. Like it included the dynamics of co-workers as well, and just the business side of sex work, as well as the personal. And it does bleed into their personal lives somewhat. I think it's very hard with this type of career to have a very firm, hard line between the two. You know, there is always going to be some bleed over, I would think, with sex work and your real life. But she is Australian based, so also that was a fun element for me. She's mostly in Melbourne. She does sometimes go up to Sydney or Tassie, you know, for different reasons. But yeah, I gave it a 4 stars. I did end up reading this one. Sometimes I feel like I cannot, and then sometimes I feel like I can. And this one I gave it a 4 stars. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was really interesting. I didn't find the author particularly funny, though. Especially, you know, I thought there'd be a bit more humor, but for me, I just didn't find it super funny. But like the way that she's looking at, you know, sex and drugs and all the things that come with that, almost homelessness, family dynamics and abuse. There's a lot of things that the author is, you know, giving you a quite intimate look into her life. She does it in a very nonchalant kind of way. But it was interesting to see too the rules in the different brothels. You know, some brothels are like, never ever give a bareback blowjob. Like, always put a condom on it. And then other places are like, oh yeah, no, that's fine, but don't kiss the clients. So yeah, it was interesting to see the difference. But okay, so there was that. And then I picked up Angel Down by Daniel Kraus because this won the Pulitzer. My God, this book was not for me at all. It has a very distinct style. So in this book, it is run on sentences. There are no full stops in this book. It is run on, and it's done in an and way. So each chapter starts with and what, and then, and why, and it's, and. Okay, so I will just read a little bit of it to you so you can see the sort of style. Where every inhale was Marie-Louise's La Rose Jacquemin No Parfum, her rosewater hair and periwinkle powders, every exhale the flutter of her dyed red hair and the lace whatchamacallits of her lingerie. And so the last thing he wants is someone fucking with him and demanding, "You alive?" To which Bagger responds, "Fuck no." To which the man laughs mirthlessly and pulls him up by the armpits like a breech birth. So Bagger the newborn unseals his eyes, a crust of mud, oil and embarrassing tears, and discovers he's being lifted from the burial pit he's been digging when the mortar hit, and now blown to triple its size, and he's stacked with triple the dead, all being sprayed with quicklime and hastily carpeted in soil. And Bagger would have been buried alive if not for this sharp-eyed private. He really ought to reward him with a cigarette, but Bagger's distracted by the corpses packed slick hot on all sides of him, one dead doughboy nearly beheaded by a pelvic bone, another who bit at collecting his intestines in one of his boots, a third stomped so flat by a shell that his spinal column protrudes from his gaping mouth. Whew! For me, it's like I can't catch my breath. Like I said, it's crass and it's very heavy on the gore. You could see just in that little bit itself, very gory, very gory. I don't love Bagger and his personality, and I knew very quickly, there's no fucking way I could read an entire book done in this particular style. I am very shocked. This one, Fiction of the Year, out of every single fiction book that was published, they chose this. A very polarizing book. I think too, it would be far fewer love it than severely dislike it. Make of it what you will, but yeah, for me, absolutely not. Was not something that I was enjoying in any which way. So I did DNF this. I am now going to go on to Record of a Night Too Brief by Hiromi Kawakami. Physically, on audio, I have Cruelty Free. So that's what I've got, and I'll see you soon.
It's so wet because it's raining.
Oh, you're so warm. Stay on mum. Stay on mum's way. Oh, yep. Lap warmer. Organic. All natural. You can sit down? She hasn't decided. I'm just coming on here quick. I have to be quick because I realize that this vlog is already so long and I've only reviewed 2 books. So I did bunch of DNFs. I DNF'd a bunch. I'm not going to say why because they just take too much time. So I'm not going to explain DNFs anymore. They just went for me. Pretty much overall. No interest in continuing on. But Library Hall. We've got Underwater by Tara Menon. I really like this cover. This is very cool. It says it's an intense, atmospheric novel about the devastating power of friendship. When Marissa loses her mother, she's taken by her father to live on a small Thai island in the Andaman Sea. There she forms a deep friendship with Ariel, and together they explore the fragile wonders of their island. And then on Boxing Day, 2004, the tsunami makes landfall and they're swept up by the first wave and separated. Oh wait, they didn't die though. I was like, oh, this is getting dark. 8 years later, Marissa is living in New York and she spends her days wandering through the city and her nights seeking solace in the beds of strangers. Wait, maybe Ariel did die. I think she did. I think that's what I mean by separated, not just physically. Shit. Okay, then we've got The Impossible Garden of Clara Thorne, Summer in England. This is by Rebecca Thorne. Interesting, just chose the same name. Love grows in the most unimaginable of places. After a lonely childhood, Clara Thorne is finally living happily ever after as a magically gifted gardener for the town of Moss. Her closest companion is a surly hedgehog. Oh, it's gonna be so cute. And she's forever stuck on the first line of her novel, but she has a home. Until the goddess chooses Clara for a quest, travel to the cursed town of Dwindle and grow them a garden in less than a month. Clara's hiding a terrible secret. Her magic doesn't work outside Moss. Uh-oh. And the goddess has assigned an absurdly sexy, annoyingly cheerful Hesper Altenfall to keep her safe. She would rather eat thorns than accept help. Are the two going to grow closer? Okay, this could be really fun. It says it's like The Spell Shop and The Princess Bride with some queer spice. So that is a description that could mean I like this. Why? How many pages is this book? 405. Okay, I don't think 400 pages plus is necessary. Then we've got Grief Dog by Michael Winkler. This is going gangbusters. I happened to grab this before everybody else put reserves on it, but now it's been reserved up the wazoo. Meet Jeffrey Watson Johnson, hydrologist, husband of Martine, father of Byrne, and model citizen of Mildura. After he inherits a small fortune from an obscure aunt, he has a disconcerting encounter with his cousin Pam and decides it's time to change everything. He wants to live as if he were the family pet. Sounds bonkers and weird. If you see me haul books and then never talk about them again, it means I DNF them. Or I ran out of time and had to return them. I think I need a fringe trim. I think my fringe is covering my eyebrows and it makes me look weird. We've got Ruinous Creatures by Jessie Cole Jackson. Fate bound them together. Power may tear them apart. It's got some really nice sprayed edges. In a sanctuary for magical creatures hidden deep within a valley, magic is born from the bones of extraordinary creatures. For generations, a privileged few have siphoned this magic by wearing the skulls of such creatures and wielding their power. Adela spends her days meticulously preparing these skulls to be matched, ensuring the magic endures and the valley withstands. But when she discovers the skulls of two phoenixes, creatures she had believed only legend, she can't resist the pull of their dormant magic. Meanwhile, Kian prepares for the upcoming matching ceremony but harbours a secret. He's only participating in order to destroy the magic of the skulls, to avenge the death of his parents at the hands of this tradition of power. I love phoenixes. I think if I could make any mythical creature real, I would choose a phoenix. But they would probably just be captured by pharmaceutical companies and tested on and used for their parts, let's be real. The Found Object Society, a novel by Michelle Marrick. For 20 years, Greta Davenport has lived with the guilt of surviving the accident that killed her parents. She's tested the limits of her own mortality ever since, but little gives her the dopamine rush she craves. Not until the night she almost drunkenly crushes her car into a tree, and a peculiar blank card is slid under her door. An invitation to the Found Object Society. What she discovers there is beyond comprehension. An opulent subterranean playground filled with aisles of objects from different eras and regions of the world. Pick an object and go on a voyage to relive the final moments of the person who died holding it, along with an unparalleled, irreplicable high. Greta's hooked. Oh, wow, what the fuck? This sounds really interesting. It examines depraved whims of the ultra-rich and the breadth of unresolved trauma. Would I want to relive someone's last moments? Probably not. I understand it says it gives you a high, but I think that would bring me to tears, man. And the last book I picked up is Repetition by Vigdis Hjorth. Look, I don't know how to pronounce it. I've read one of her novels before and I really didn't like it. So I'm giving her another shot. This is her second chance, and like the cover's really cool. And it's pink on the inside. As winter approaches in Norway and the daylight dwindles, a chance encounter prompts a novelist to re-examine her past. The seismic events following her 16th birthday return with haunting vividness, exposing a story both utterly familiar and desperately strange. It was the year she first got drunk, the year she first had sex with a boy. She was watched like a hawk by an anxious mother and a silent, distant father. It was a year of typical teenage fixation and typical teenage frivolity, and all of the usual parental fretting, until someone else took hold, and her family made an unspoken decision and a terrible sacrifice. Till something else took hold. Is this paranormal? Only now, decades later, can these events come close to being comprehended. I wonder if this is just plain lit fic, so something else taking hold, maybe it's mental illness, or hopefully it's paranormal and there's some possession stuff going on. We shall see. Hello lovelies, I have some updates for you. So I did watch a film. I watched Possession. So this is an older film and it's a horror movie, and it's about a man named Mark and his wife Anna and their toxic marriage and their absolutely messy, unhinged divorce. He suspects that she's having an affair. She is. He hires a private investigator, and meanwhile he also starts an affair with his son's teacher that kind of looks like his wife. Now, I understand a lot of the stuff in this is sort of to do with divorce. She ends up being possessed, and I can see how it's meant to be that, you know, a marriage can sometimes feel like possession, and the toxic pull and push between two people and their inability to completely disconnect without hurting each other. This was a weird fucking movie. This was so goddamn weird. The way that the characters, like the acting, it just felt so over the top and bizarre. Like nobody acted like a normal person would in this instance. It was also set, I think, in Berlin, near the Berlin Wall, and that obviously has played a part metaphorically too with the story. It was just very bizarre. Anna never changed her dress, and maybe that's meant to symbolize how in an abusive marriage things don't ever really change. I don't know. It was just very, very weird. I gave it a 2.75. I know this is one of those cult classic films, but it wasn't an enjoyable experience to watch. There is on-screen abuse in there. It's just, with their son as witness. It was just, it was yuck. It was yuck, and I was like glad to have seen it though, to understand references. I've seen references to this film, so now I have the context, but it wasn't for me. And then I grabbed an arc from NetGalley. This was Startup Hell by Caitlin Rozakis. So I would pronounce this Rozakis, but in the audiobook, this was an audiobook, now I'll say they said Rozakis. So we'll go with that. So this is pretty much corporate burnout, but make it literal hell. So you have Morgan, and she's like a magically challenged sales girly who has this, really impressive demon slaying mum, and she accidentally gets tangled up in her former boss's deal with a demon. And so now she's responsible for this very hot demon and is trying to get him back to hell before her mother finds him and slays him. And this demon sort of feeds off desires. He's able to tell what someone's desire is and then use that to make a bargain. So he will give them their greatest desire in return for their soul. It's just your soul. I ended up DNFing this. So yeah, this is my first proper arc DNF. I did listen to half of the book, so I gave it a solid go. Unfortunately for me, the romance was not there. I did not feel anything between her and this really hot demon. It was just forced, and I felt nothing. The pacing was so slow, like guys, very slow pacing. It was not funny to me. So I'd read Dreadful by this author, and I enjoyed that. This just didn't have anything that I enjoyed from Dreadful in it. So like I said, I didn't find it humorous, and there was so much marketing jargon. So I understand it's set in a corporate setting, but do we really need all that business speak? Do we really need it? I don't think so, especially because this is mostly supposed to be a romance. So yeah, I did DNF it. It just really was not for me. And I didn't want to end up giving it between a 2-3 stars, so I DNF'd that one. I am currently listening to The Caretaker by Marcus Kliewer. This is an audiobook. It is about a down on her luck woman she's poor, she's struggling, she's financially supporting her sister. Her dad's recently died. She's going through it, guys. And her bank fund pretty much is always on insufficient funds. And then she, out of her desperation, decides to respond to a very sketchy Craigslist ad looking for a caretaker. So she goes there to this house that is very secluded and isolated, and it's surrounded by creepy woods, and meets a woman who claims to be the widow of the man that she was meant to be taking care of. Turns out he dead. She's like, why am I here? And she's like, well, I'll need you to essentially house sit. And she says, why don't you just put an ad in for a house sitter? And the widow's like, well, people who tend to do house sitting tend to be unsavory characters. And I get that. I have some friends that would house sit, and they would absolutely wear all of the person's clothes and hold parties and go through all their shit. And that always rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, man, person's home is sacred. It's their safe space, and they've let you in there and they're paying you to take care of it. And they've probably said, hey, please don't wear my shit, or please don't throw a house party, or please don't, drink all my expensive liquor. And you'd be doing all that stuff. And it's just not cool, man. It's very disrespectful. So I get why she didn't make a listing for a house sitter. But she said, the house sitting also comes with some terms and conditions. And it turns out that the guy that was living there, David, who's now dead, has a set of rituals that must be completed every day. And the widow said, I think they're horseshit. I think they're bogus, but I made a promise to a dying man that I would continue to do these rituals, and so you need to do them. And it's not that bad, okay? So it's like, turn some light switches on and off at 2 a.m. and stay up until 4 or whatever. It's doable, And the reason it's doable is because it comes with man money. So our main girlie at first is like, yeah, this sounds really sketchy. I don't know about this. I'm a bounce. And then she's like, it pays $9,000 for a weekend. I don't know about you guys, but when you're desperate for money, what are your other options? Sex work or crime, right? And if I was at that point where those are my other options, I would absolutely, as a homebody, relish the opportunity to just stay at a house for 2 days for $9,000. I'll bring my fucking crochet and my books and my puzzles and my cards, and I'm gonna have myself a staycation. Okay, $9,000. That's a lot of dough. Okay, to just stay in a house and turn some switches on and off. Our widow, though, made the mistake. She made a massive mistake. She should have hired someone with OCD, because as someone with OCD, I'm gonna tell you right now, I understand the importance of a ritual being performed to keep everybody you love safe. Okay, I was not a light switcher, but I had my things that I would do, because I'm like, if I do this, then this person will be okay. I get that. So anyone with OCD would be like, I'm on it, bitch, I got this. I will absolutely perform this job well. But Macy is so incompetent. She does not believe the necessity for doing these things. She does not believe that if she doesn't do it, a great evil will be unleashed in the world. So she doesn't do it. And I'm like, bitch, you had one job. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you think the job is bullshit, because newsflash, most jobs are bullshit. Most jobs are pointless and meaningless. But this is your job. You've been told, I am paying you $9,000 to stay in this house and just do these few things. Do them. Why wouldn't you do them? Why wouldn't you do them? You don't know if that person's got cameras in the house to make sure you're doing your job. Do your job. You want the money. Do the job, whether you believe it's malarkey or not. But she doesn't. And this is where I'm at. I am 60% of the way through this. So I'm telling you right now, if everyone that I know, every booktuber that I've seen, had not highly rated this book, I would have DNF'd it. I would have DNF'd it by now. But everybody has been raving. And I want to be on that bandwagon. I want to be on the hype train so bad. But I am thus far not seeing that 5-star appeal. I don't get it. It started off with a great first chapter. Okay, so we have David's POV, and I much prefer David's POV. And he's in this house, and he's got a visitor. That's what he terms them at the door. And he sort of has to take this visitor and have them walk behind him, and he can never look back. And eventually the visitors just disappear. But unfortunately, in this case, the visitor does not disappear and seems to be aware what is happening and is speaking to him, and then actually physically assaults him. At which point then he does turn around and he sees a whole fucking horde of visitors in like yellow rain jackets running towards his house. And it was just a very creepy, unsettling, intriguing start to the book. So I loved the first chapter. I was like, ooh, this is going to be fantastic. And then we go to Macy, and I hate Macy. I don't like her. She has a lot of anxiety. She has a very harsh inner critic. She throws a lot of mental pity parties for herself. And she's just an unpleasant character to be in. And the fact, like I said, that she's completely and utterly refusing to do her job, despite there are consequences too. So when she doesn't do the first things, some shit happens, okay? And not shit where you could be like, oh, that was a coincidence. It is absolutely not a coincidence. It is a very clear causation. And you think, okay, now that's happened, clearly she'll get on the shit and she'll make sure she does her job. But no, she just keeps fucking up. And it's one of those cases where you just like her sister would do. So her sister that she's taking care of is one of those people that would scream at a horror, don't go into the basement, you dumb bitch. And I'm the same. I'm one of those people. If I'm at home, I will be screaming that at the TV as well. And that is pretty much all I'm screaming at Macy, like, you dumb bitch. How you just fucking everything up. But I'll also say that this book took at least 60% before some stuff actually started to happen and it became interesting. That's a long time because it's also filled with a lot of dream scenes. I don't know about you guys. I have a feeling I'm not in the minority when I say that I absolutely despise reading a scene in the book just to be told at the end, psych, it was all just a dream. I hate that with a passion. And it has happened multiple times. Oh, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. It's just a dream. You thought something was happening. No, it's just a dream, bro. And yeah, thus far it has been really boring. It's a lot of repetition as well. A lot of repetition. And I am proceeding. Okay, I am going to go until the end because I want to understand why people love it so much. And I just don't get it at this point. It has, with that opening chapter, so much potential. But it's crushing and burning with Macy as the character, with the pacing of it, with how little has happened, with the repetition, with the dream scenes. There is a cat. The cat is not being in it as much as I would have liked the cat to be in it. We're at the point where, in order to not have even worse repercussions after having fucked up once again, Macy has been told that she has to throw a rabbit into a fire. So I'm not sure if there is going to be animal harm in this. It seems like it. But, and I'm saying this as someone who was vegan for 20 years, she should throw the rabbit into the fire. She should throw it into the fire. I'm also saying that because I've got more knowledge. There were some things that were written in this letter with these instructions, especially about the rabbit, that made me go, yeah, just throw it in. Like, it's going to feel awful because essentially you're feeling like you're throwing a rabbit into the fire, but like, read the letter and understand what's at stake if you don't do this. But also, I never would have gotten to the point of burning bunnies because I would have turned the light switch on and off and I would have done my fucking job and everything would be fine. Everything would be fine. So I'm assuming there is a cosmic horror element in this. That's to do with these visitors. That's to do with these rituals. That's to do with the creepy phone calls of people telling her, pretty much just telling her, do your job, bitch. Just do it for the love of everything, for the love of the world, for all of us. Please, just do the thing. And she doesn't do the thing. She's meant to be this very responsible person. She's taking care of her sister. But like I said, to get this job opportunity, which will absolutely help them, to be so impoverished, $9,000 in 2 days is an extraordinary life-changing amount of money. And yet she's not taking it seriously. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that. With all the stakes involved, I don't get why she would flake on it. Like I said, now that she's started to have repercussions, now she's trying to take it seriously, but she's just so inept. She's Mr. Beaning this shit. So we'll see how we go. I liked his first book, We Used to Live Here. Fun story. I had that happen to me. So We Used to Live Here is about people that come to the house and say, hey, we used to live here. Do you mind if we look around? That happened to me. So when we bought this house, one day while I was home alone, the previous owners came to the house and were like, hey, do you mind if we come in and take a look at what you've done with the place? We're very curious. And I'm very surprised by myself because I previously was a huge people pleaser. I had massive issues with boundaries and I would not say no, you know? And yet in that moment, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I didn't let them in the house. I said no. And I can't believe that I did that, but I was obviously just so uncomfortable that I was like, yeah, no. So I know in this situation, I wouldn't have let the people in the house because it happened to me and I didn't let the people in the house. Also, fun fact, there were like 2 or 3 other times when we were living there when our dog would start barking and we would go and see what's going on. And we walked to the front, which has windows, and the children of the former owners were just standing in our front yard looking at us through the window. And we were just like, this is so fucking creepy, man. Like, why are they here? I get it's hard to let go, but like you can't just stand in someone's garden and like look into their house. And it was like, kids, run along now, run along, because it turns out that the previous owners moved nearby, so they were still in the area. And I see them now and we're fine now. Like, I'm like, hey, how you going? Nice to see you. You know, I'm friendly and polite. But when we first moved in, it was just so disconcerting when they were like, can we come in? And we're like, no. And then their kids would just come and sit in our yard and like look at us. So they don't do that anymore. They've grown up now, they're adults, but it was creepy. But that first book I did enjoy it. I rated it lower because of the ambiguous ending. And that's what has me worried about this book, because people have said that yes, it is once again an ambiguous ending and you don't get all the answers. So knowing that is up ahead, I don't have high hopes for this. I do want to be pleasantly surprised. I am hoping things pick up and I end up giving this a higher rating than what I'm currently thinking, because right now I'm literally at a 2 just because it's just dull and I'm not scared or creeped out. Like I said, excluding the first chapter. So excluding the first chapter, everything that's come since has done nothing for me. And as I've said, I don't like being in Macy's POV. I would have much preferred her sister be the main character. It would have been a lot more interesting. But I understand you obviously need someone who's incompetent to fail the rituals so that all of the cosmic horror stuff can come into play. But yeah, I still don't really understand what is happening. I don't understand David's role in this and how he even knew to do the rituals to stop the thing from happening. There's like nothing's been explained. Nothing's been explained. So, and this is only supposed to be taking 2 days and we're at 60%. And like I said, it's dragging. So yeah, I'm just sad because I went into this, I guess, with high expectations because of just how many people have absolutely loved it to bits and pieces. And I want to be one of those people, but I don't think I'm going to be. But fingers crossed, this turns around and I end up enjoying it. Is it going to be 5 stars? There's no possible way it could be 5 stars at all, especially with an ambiguous ending. It's just not going to happen, but it could end up being a 3.5. And I would be absolutely content if this ends up being a 3.5 in the end. It'd have been worth pushing through something that I normally would have DNF'd. So I will be going on with this. I am going to do a library run today because my books are due. One of these libraries, they still do fines. Most of the libraries in Victoria have done away with fines. You just can't borrow a new book until you've returned one that's overdue. And I think that's fantastic, but this one still does fines. So I'm like, I don't want to pay. So I'm going to go and pick up some new books there. I'm just going to see if there's anything else that I've got. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I do have something. I've got something that is, I believe, is giving Drop Dead Fred. And Drop Dead Fred, I haven't seen it in 10 years, but it was one of my favorite films, especially as a child. I think anyone with mummy issues will relate to that movie. There is a scene where she confronts her mother and then comforts her 6-year-old self. That was just a very powerful scene for me. I will never forget that. But I do have a hot take on the movie. Let me know if I'm just a fucking weirdo or if you get it, okay? I felt like, so Drop Dead Fred is her imaginary friend. She has an unsafe home and an abusive mum. And so she has this friend and, you know, they do get up to mischief together, but she's a kid. And when she's 6 years old, her parents put her on psychiatric drugs and Fred goes away. So she can no longer see him. And then we fast forward to the future and she's a grown woman. I think she's in her mid-20s and he comes back. And I don't know about you guys, but I felt mad chemistry between her grown-up self and Drop Dead Fred. And I was like, you guys need to kiss and like live happily ever after together. I'm vibing with this. I don't know if I was the only one that was like kind of hoping they would just be together and she would live in bliss with her imaginary friend. But yeah, just let me know if you also felt that way. I feel like gross now. That was her imaginary friend. Listen, yeah, he was there for the first 6 years, but he was not part of her life afterwards. So it's like he comes back and she's in her mid-20s. It's fine. But yes, okay, the book that I'm talking about is called I Will Kill Your Imaginary Friend for $200 by Robert Brockway. And it says, to bright and anxious 8-year-old Kay Washington, the worst thing in the world is being alone with the quiet. That's why Eddie Video makes the perfect imaginary. He's smart, he's loud, he loves pulling pranks, and he's always there to chase away the silence. To mid-40s, down on his luck Ivan, the worst thing in the world happened when he lost his imaginary friend. Now cursed with the ability to see everyone else's, Ivan makes a living by killing the imaginary friends of adults who couldn't let go. But when one of Eddie Video's pranks goes too far, Ivan agrees to make an exception and help Kay. Only Ivan will soon learn that Eddie Video is nothing like the talking ostriches, star bears, and goblin princesses he's encountered in the past. And it's going to take a lot more than clumsy haymakers and steak knives to bring him down. This sounds fantastic. It says it's about the fear of growing up and the scars our childhood leaves behind. It sounds up my alley, like it's very much giving Drop Dead Fred. I'm excited for it. I've got that. Audio too, I've got quite a lot of options for once I'm finished with The Caretaker. I have Enshittification by Cory, Doctorow. This has got a lot of holds on it, so it is one I will prioritize as soon as I'm finished. And that's a non-fic. And also I got another non-fic called Periodic Bitch by Emma Hardy. So those are also options for me. But I will see you when I've got a book haul. Okay, so my mum just dropped off some flowers for me and some stuff for me and the kids. So we've got some jam donuts. These are from Laurent. They're fantastic. We've got bath bombs. So Indy is absolutely gonna love this. And some honey. I actually needed some honey. So that is so lovely. And I will actually be dropping back. She doesn't know this because I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to go to a patisserie and get some lovely cakes to drop off to her. I'm not going to have my kids today. My ex-husband always takes the kids on Mother's Day to do things with his mum, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. We just sort of don't really, I guess, celebrate Mother's Day with me. I'll just watch a movie with them when they come back. And yeah, so I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to the library and then just going to drop some cakes off to my mum's house and then just spend my Mother's Day reading books. Okay, so just picked up some books at the library. I'm feeling a bit emotional. Normally I don't mind that my kids don't spend Mother's Day with me, but today they were actually upset about it and they said that they would have preferred to stay home with me for a bit longer than go out with their grandmother. So I don't know, maybe we might change the tradition next year, but yeah, I'm just feeling a bit emotional because they did ask to stay with me, but their dad had already made plans, so they went anyway. I'm just gonna pop in to see my mum with some desserts and get some for the kids and drop them off.
I'm getting this one, definitely.
Okay, so I got the Hojicha black sesame latte for myself. For my mum, I got a coconut cream matcha. For the girls, I got watermelon strawberry with jelly balls. And for the cakes, I'll just put pictures up. I got tiramisu, strawberry shortcake, and Thai tea basque. Hey guys, I realized that I had not been filming this entire time. Golly, let me show you what books I got from the library. I Gave You Eyes and You Looked Toward Darkness by Irene Solar. Nestled among rugged mountains in a remote part of Catalonia, frequented by wolf hunters, bandits, deserters, ghosts, beasts, and demons, sits the old farmhouse called Mas Clavel. Inside, an impossibly old woman lies on her deathbed while family and caretakers drift in and out. All the women who have ever lived and died in that house are waiting for her to join them. They're preparing to throw her a party. A death party! As day turns to night, 400 years' worth of memories unspool. The house reverberates with the women's tales of mysterious visions, of those born without eyelashes or tongues or deformed hearts. But it all began with the story of the matriarch Joanna, who double-crosses the devil, heedless of what the consequences might be. I said previously, this reminds me of another story I read about women murdering men and the men haunting the walls of the house. I can't remember what it was called, but it reminds me of that, but we'll see how we go. I am intrigued. And then we've got Kang, Light and Thread. This is a book that draws together the threads of her work and life, tracing the connections between her interior and exterior worlds through a sequence of essays, poems, photographs, and diaries. So this is mixed media. I really liked her book, The White Book, so I think I will also like this one. We've then got Bad Animals, Sarah Brownstein, a novel. You're not going to get my original reactions now to reading the synopsis, I'm sorry. When a teenager accuses buttoned-up librarian Maeve of spying on her romantic escapades in the mezzanine bathroom, she winds up laid off and humiliated. Maeve hopes to have a powerful ally in her attempts to clear her name, her favourite author Harrison Riddles, who's accepted an invitation to speak at the library. A scheme to get her job back draws Maeve further into Riddles' universe, forcing her to reckon with what kind of animal she is. I'm hoping this is giving a bit of Chris Lilly's high school show where he plays like an unhinged teacher, hopefully, but this in case a librarian. You know, I will always pick up books about librarians. The Spoil by Mail Chapman. I did say that this cover with this fly does not suit the blurb at all. Tell me what you think. So this cover, this blurb. In a rambling split-level house in the north end of Tacoma in the 70s, a young girl is preoccupied by alien visitations, ESP, pyramid power, and the Bermuda Triangle, and then mentioned that the Bermuda Triangle doesn't get really much press anymore. Is it not a thing anymore? Because I feel like in my youth it was this awful place that everybody just went down. If they dared to go in the Bermuda Triangle, you never saw them again. Meanwhile, she and her stepbrother, thrown uneasily together by disaster and divorce, grow increasingly convinced that a malevolent presence resides in their house. Years later, Mandy is living in Las Vegas caring for her mother, who is in a terminal decline from Alzheimer's. She works for a real estate company but struggles to manage her ADHD. And while digging through her mother's things, she sets something loose, something old and baleful. A demon that soon possesses one of her neighbors, a semi-retired house flipper and handyman named TK. What follows is a gripping, terrifying story of familial grief, and the questions of science and spirit become urgent. I didn't get that from The Fly on this. So I'm wondering how The Fly factors in. But demon possession and aliens sounds kind of cool. And then we've got this one, which was absolutely a cover grab for me. Scavengers by Kathleen Boland. A rollicking novel about a cautious daughter and her eccentric estranged mother venturing west in search of buried treasure and a way back to each other. After being fired for taking an uncharacteristic risk at her commodities trading job, this is what drew me in, Bee sublets her New York apartment and stays with her mother Christy, a free spirit who's been living in Salt Lake City on Bee's dime. Bee isn't about to admit why she's decided to visit, but she's not the only one keeping secrets. Christy has a man, a map, and a username on a forum devoted to unearthing 1 million in buried treasure. Bee's convinced this is another one of her mother's wild larks, an elaborate way to refuse, as she has for Bee's entire life, to finally grow up. But maybe she's onto something. I said that this reminds me of like any of those movies you see where characters like Goldie Hawn or maybe Susan Sarandon are like playing these like old eccentric mothers, and they've got their daughters who are just fed up with their shenanigans. But it sounds like fun. Like a lot of these sound like fun. Some of them are a bit dark, but those are my hauls, and I'm just going to have my latte. I might watch a movie. I don't know if I'm going to rent one or watch an old one, but I think I might treat myself to a movie today since I'm home alone.
Gorgeous girl. You're so gorgeous. I love you, Sylvie. Oh, so cute. Yeah, you're so cute. You're so pretty.
Hello, my lovelies. Excuse the wet hair. I'm pressed for time. We've got a lot of medical tests going on today. I'm here to update you on some stuff that I have read. So I did watch some movies too. I watched Hokum. This is about a dickish author who is going to this remote inn to scatter his parents' ashes. And when he's there, he's told about a folklore regarding a witch who haunts their honeymoon suite, and he sort of becomes very intrigued by it. But while he's investigating this, a woman goes missing, and he starts to see disturbing visions that are regarding a violent episode from his past. This was, yeah, like folklore, horror, and paranormal horror, and also just the horror of men. I gave this a 3.75. I will say that the animals are killed in this book, and my favorite character was the crazy forest mushroom man. But yeah, there were jump scares though as well. I don't love jump scares, but I knew there was going to be a witch haunting, and he's looking into a dark underground tunnel. Of course, the witch is going to, pop up. So yeah, pretty decent. Then I watched Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. So this is about a world in which in the future there are vampires, and they used to rule the night, but they are being hunted by vampire hunters, especially a Vampire Hunter D, who is, I think they called him a Dunpeel, and he is a half vampire, half human. He's sort of shunned by both of those societies, belonging to none. I gave this a 4 stars. A horse is killed, which made me really sad. Vampire Hunter D is super hot. And I was actually rooting for the vampire and his human lover in this movie, but 4 stars. And then I watched Ready or Not, Here I Come. And this is a sequel to Ready or Not, in which a woman married this super rich guy, and as part of the initiation into his rich family was to pull a card for a game, and she got the game hide and seek, in which she has to hide and survive until dawn or be killed by all the other members of her new family. And it turns out that the game isn't over. So this is just a very fun game, like survival slasher, and I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. And then I did, okay, yeah, let's go. I finished The Caretaker by Marcus Kliewer. Okay, so you know how I was feeling about this. About Macy, our dumb bitch who cannot follow simple instructions and who is useless and insufferable and exhausting. And she's not Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is way more competent than she is. She's all the 3 fucking stooges in one. I wrote one thing on here. I wrote, I fucking hate this cunt. And I think that surmises it. I cannot stand her. Why couldn't you just turn the light on, Macy? Are you so selfish? I couldn't stand her. I also hated that there were fail-safes for failing the rites. So as you know, I previously mentioned she failed one of the rites and there were some consequences for that. But there was also a fail-safe. Like, okay, you didn't turn the light on. What you need to do now is do this and everything will kind of be okay. And that kept happening. And I was like, this feels like that's a bit of a cop-out. You know what I mean? Like, are the rights important or not? Like, why are there oopsie-daisy clauses for all of them? I will say, I actually do think that this could be quite triggering for people with OCD if their compulsions are the ones that are listed in this. So like I said, I'm coming to this after having just done my psilocybin thing, so my OCD is tampered way down, and I don't have a light switch one, I don't have a door locking one, so to speak, but I even found myself feeling the need to go and check the locks and things like that. Like, I could feel the itch in the back of my brain being like, do your counting so everyone is safe. Count to 100. Don't step on any of the cracks for at least, 1 minute, whatever. Like, I was finding myself sort of fighting the urge. And I think if I hadn't been in the state that I am now, I would have been a bit triggered into doing my compulsions whilst reading this book. So I just wanted to put that out there. I also just feel like this is just a novel-length misery spiral where absolutely nothing is explained. I don't know why these rites have to be performed. I don't know why David was involved in this. I don't know why if it is so crucial and important? Is there not some society then where if something happens to David, someone else comes and replaces him? Because his widow really just dropped the baton by passing it to Macy, and then she just noped out of everything. She didn't respond or reply when Macy at one point said, yeah, hey, I can't do this, I'm leaving, I'm sorry. And I'm like, if the safety of the entire world and universe, it seems, is dependent upon performing these rites in this physical location, why didn't David have someone trained to take over? It just irritated me that I didn't understand the rhyme or reason for everything. I didn't understand really what. Where was I? Also the cat. The cat was just in this book for no reason. I don't even know what the point of the cat was. Overall, I did not enjoy this book. I'm sorry. I just don't feel like there was a payoff for me having to suffer through being with the character Macy. Look, it did escalate in the end, but it's still ambiguous. It still feels like... So this author is setting, I believe, all these books in the same world. So I don't know if what Macy has done is going to affect the characters in his next novel. So I'm glad I read it, because I do want to try one more time with Marcus Kliewer. It's all contingent upon his next book. But this one, just like I said, there were so many answers just regarding what was happening, what's actually going on here, and why are these rights important, and why isn't there a better system in place, and why would you just trust some rando to perform them when the whole world is contingent upon them performing them. And like I said, Macy just made all the wrong choices. She was very incompetent. She either willfully chose not to do something, and then even when she tried to fix it, she half-assed it, man. She was just... I don't want to even talk about her anymore. I was actually enraged. So I've given it a 1.5. It was genuinely creepy in some parts, so I will give it that. But overall, it was a frustrating read. It was confusing because you're not given information and answers. And like I said, I would have preferred to understand the world, understand the reasons why. And instead of just reading about this bumbling idiot that just messed everything up. And I just don't like books where the plot device is based or contingent upon a character being so ridiculously inept. It's just not something I enjoy reading about. So 1.5 for The Caretaker. Unfortunately, I didn't get on the hype train. I am currently listening to Enshittification by Cory, Doctorow, and I'm probably going to start the Found Object Society. So you won't see me for a bit because, yeah, we're just doing a lot of medical testing over the next few days. And hopefully when I see you, I've finished another book.
I know, it's so misty, Sylvie. Hi.
Good morning, my lovelies. I'm here to wrap up this reading vlog. So I did finish reading Enshittification by Cory, Doctorow. So this is about how big companies start out as useful and then they slowly get worse as they continue to squeeze their users, creators, workers, and businesses for maximum profit. It mentioned a lot of the big companies, so Amazon, Google, Twitter, Microsoft, Apple, for instance. And it's not like they're saying anything new. We know that these companies are kind of soulless and they only care about the profits that they make. That's their bottom line. I was more interested in learning about what he thinks we should do, but once again, it was nothing I didn't already know. So pretty much, guys, try to shop local, try to support small ethical businesses, and maybe join a union. So overall, I gave it a 3.5 stars. And then I picked up Light and Thread by Kang. So this was a collection of her personal essays and poems and diary fragments and reflections. She begins the book with giving you just some background info on either how she thought of the idea for her former books or what she was doing while she was writing those books or her process while writing those books. So it was interesting to see the little snippets of the behind the scenes of her and her previous works. And then she put a lot of poetry in there, and it was talking a lot about light as survival. So I think that's a main motif. There's one bit at the end of the book that's largely dedicated to her growing plants in her new home, and she uses mirrors in her garden to reflect light upon her plants that are trying to grow in difficult conditions. So overall, this book does feel like you're listening to someone talk about themselves while the sunlight is slowly moving across the room. It was very quiet. It was a lot about pain, because a lot of her books are very heavy subject matter. It was, for instance, she talked about how once she finished her book, she was so relieved to not have to type the word massacre into her Google search again. But yeah, look, I'm giving it a 3 stars. I think if you really love getting personal snippets from authors' lives, it would be up your alley. And the final book that I read was Median by Kelly Robson. I gave this a 3.75. This is an itty bitty book from Tor.com, and it's about a caregiver who is driving home late one night on the freeway or the highway, and her car breaks down on the median, and these cars go past and just totally ride off her car. They total her car. She manages to survive. She gets out of her mangled car and starts walking down the median of this highway, trying to flag down help. No one is stopping. They're looking at her, but they're continuing on at high speed. It's far busier than it should be at this time of night. She's trying to call 911, but she keeps getting disconnected. And then she starts getting these mysterious phone calls to her phone. It is this book that is set in this very liminal, isolated space. So we've got the physical location, 2 a.m. on a median strip on a highway, but is she on a median strip on a highway at 2 a.m.? Everything feels very eerie. It's got a very creepy feel to it. It feels like she has been removed from normal life, but is still trying to interact with it. She's sort of in this in-between space, and reality has become a little glitchy. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75. It is ambiguous, so you don't really get a lot of answers, but it's a short story, and I'm always more lenient with short stories, but I enjoyed it. So let me sum up all of the books I read in this reading vlog. My favorite read of this reading vlog was Happy Endings by Bella Green, which I gave 4 stars. Even the taboo jobs are just jobs. The Ones Who Look by Katharine Duckett, which I gave a 3.75. Eternal Life, now with fine print. The Caretaker by Marcus Kliewer, which I gave 1.5 stars. Serious Applicants Only. Bitch did not take her job seriously. Simple Jack would have been a better choice. Enshittification by Cory Doctorow, which I gave 3.5. Big companies are greedy cunts who only care about profit. Light and Thread by Kang, which I gave 3 stars. So she's a plant lady. And the last book I read was Median by Kelly Robson, which I gave a 3.75. 911, What's Your Emergency? Those were all of the books that I read for this reading vlog. Let me know in the comments if you are a plant person, and if so, what is your favorite plant that you grow? Okay, because I love a lot of plants, but the only ones that I can actually grow inside my house are snake plants. They're thriving, but they're the only ones I've kept alive. So I don't really have a great green thumb. I try my best, but I don't have one. If you don't know what to comment, but you want to let me know that you were here and that you watched, leave a heart emoji of your choosing, whatever you like. And until next time, stay wild, star child.